Science communication is of major importance, which becomes increasingly clear as we are witnessing the climate action demonstrations which are still being met with rather disappointing responses from the governments. This is why I like to use this podcast to talk with science communicators about their work. Some of them talk about their leap from academia into a full-blown career in SciComm. Or they inform us about opportunities for active researchers to contribute to science communication events. One important tip for science communicators, and we will be talking about this in this episode too, is the necessity to respond to feedback from the audience. Something I would like to implement myself. So I'd like to ask you for a favor. I think I've come to the point where your input is becoming very important for my ability to improve the podcast. This is why I'd like to hear from you which episodes you liked and disliked and for what reason. And of course, which topics you are particularly interested in. Send me messages on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at Sci4Progress. DMs are open. Or through email info@scienceforprogress.eu. And if you think more people should definitely listen, why not give us a good rating and write a nice review on your podcast app and go and share our information in your social circles. As always, the full conversation of this interview is available for patrons on www.patreon.com/sci4progress, and you will find a summary and additional information in our show notes on www.scienceforprogress.eu. I am your host Dennis Eckmeyer, and this is episode 34 of the Science for Societal Progress podcast.
My name is Chinmaya Sadangi. I completed my PhD from Phillips University of Marburg in 2017, and then I moved to Toronto to do my postdoc. And since 2017, September, October, I'm a postdoc at the University of Toronto. I also run a science communication website known as the Addictive Brain, wherein we invite scientists from all over the world to discuss science and communicate it to the public. My research focuses on neuroscience. My main project is mapping the brain and schizophrenia, and I want to find wherein the connections are breaking or what is the mismatch that is going in the schizophrenic brain versus a wild type or a normal brain.
But we want to talk today about Chinmaya's science communication project, the Addictive Brain. Chinmaya started the Addictive Brain because
I found that the public lacks knowledge about what science is, what scientists do behind the scenes, and how tough is it to find a cure, a miracle drug for anything, let's say for cancer, for Alzheimer's. And I wanted to bridge that gap. That's why I started the Addictive Brain.
he shared an anecdote on what sort of communication problems he would like to solve.
Maybe 2 years ago, I was still doing brain clearing. I posted it on Facebook, and someone said, "Oh, can you clear my brain?" I said, "No, that is not possible at this point. I need to take your brain out from your body and then do it." So they didn't know what exactly I was speaking, and that motivated me to speak in more simpler terms. So when I write an article or anything, I try to take out all the scientific terms and put like layman terms. I don't try to show up. Yes, I mean, not showing up, but yeah, I don't want to put up like, this is microscope, this is how it works, but I want to try to simplify it so that, yes, you don't know anything about microscope, but if you read it, you are able to understand.
To get this out of the way quickly, the Addictive Brain has a little bit of a branding problem.
The addictive brain sounds like, yes, it is related to only biology, but that is not true. I felt that it represents the entire science community, not just particular neuroscience. Every scientist's brain is addicted to constant learning and thinking. I wanted to change the name to Addictive Scientist in the beginning, but then I said, no, let's keep it as Addictive Brain. When I reach out to people, I just say that, yes, it's not related to neuroscience. It's related to all fields of science.
What are non-medical topics that you have had on your website?
We had some really interesting topics. The first topic that came from non-medical field was about telescopes. I learned a lot about telescopes from that post because it explained how a telescope works, what are the different types of telescopes that are present, which I was not aware of. I thought there is only one telescope. No, there are different types of telescopes. And there was another also post about nanoparticles, wherein one of our contributors explained what are nanoparticles, what are the different sizes for a nanoparticle, which I was simply not aware of. Nanoparticle is nanoparticle for me. That was a very interesting post. And similarly, we had fields, we had different others like X rays, was one of the posts. The Chandra Observatory was one more post, which was very interesting. And yeah, that is something that I have to read again to tell you more about it. But yes, those were some very interesting posts.
Yet, biology is by far the most discussed topic on the addictive brain.
120 contributions came from the field of biology. So, biology, I'm not going into subfields, but basic biology like neuroscience, cancer, anything related to biology. And the second came from physics, which was around 27, 28. Mathematics that I wanted to cover had only one or two posts, and chemistry had like 10 or 15 posts. And other fields like science communication, science outreach, diversity had some posts. But biology is the leading field as of now in terms of number of contributions.
While the addictive brain invites scientists to participate on their science communication platform, Chinmaya's goal is not to simply feature scientists. He finds it more interesting when science communicators actually talk about their work. A tricky part can be to even find people who are interested in engaging in science communication.
So basically, I approach people through Instagram because Instagram have a lot of scientists, PhD students, grad students, postdocs, everyone. So I reach out to them on Instagram and I ask them if they are willing to contribute, and I explain the process.
And how can people contribute?
Basically, a contribution is anything. Basically, experiment. They can write an article about something that they always wanted to. For example, drug discovery. They can make a small video explaining a science experiment, or they can, or some people have are also doing science art or sci art, and they explain very good phenomena. Like we had a very recent contribution about europathogens, wherein our contributor made a lot of cartoons to explain the phenomena of europathogens or what is europathogens.
And what happens to these SciComm pieces?
We have it on our website, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Sometimes, if the user is on Twitter, then we definitely want to tag them and highlight them. So we cross post across all the platforms.
Now, Chinmaya mentioned a whole bunch of different forms of SciComm that people can submit to the addictive brain. But really, the core of the project are two formats. You can go live on Instagram for up to an hour and talk about your science, or you can take over the account for 3 days for an AMA, an Ask Me Anything session. And this is how it works for the live session.
The speaker decides on a topic. He plans out how he wants to take the talk. We had one person who presented some slides. We also put up asking questions before the live session. So people usually take that as a platform to ask questions beforehand. And during the interaction, there is a live chat button on Instagram. So people use that to ask questions, and the speaker answers those questions. And at the end, we ask our speaker to save the video and send it to us so that we can upload it to our YouTube channel.
So I remember when I did it, I didn't get a lot of questions beforehand. That's probably because I left it very open about what I would be talking about. Um, so people don't seem to like to choose what they want to ask about. So I gave them some options, but they don't seem to like that. So you have to be more clear about what you want to be asked about.
Yes. I mean, some people Now it depends on the time. So I usually try to host it at 10 a.m. because on a Sunday, of course, because that's the time when people like, okay, wake up, have already woken up, have done their daily routine, maybe sit with a cup of coffee and do this. But sometimes people don't find time, and maybe people are not interested in a particular topic. So most of the people don't show up like on maybe I'm not saying like yours or mine, but maybe some people are like I find like five people watching the cancer video, but they do ask questions of and some people don't find time to come to the live session. So they do ask questions and I forward those questions to the speaker later on because the live video is available on Instagram after the live session ends for 24 hours.
And the other format is the Ask Me Anything, where you can take over the account for a couple of days.
So I give a time frame from, for example, I either do it from Wednesday to Friday or Friday to Sunday. And I ask them to send me an introduction video, like what you want to say, what questions do you expect, or a particular topic. For example, if I would have to like to invite you, then I would say that, okay, Dennis, tell me your topic that you want to say, pre-record it, send it to me, I'll post it. And then I put up a question and answer question banner underneath the video so people can ask questions. And I give you access to the account so that you can view the questions. And whenever you find time between those 2 days, you can record the videos and post it directly to our account. And once the 2 days are over, I compile all the videos and put up in my Instagram highlights and transfer them to YouTube and spread it across all the different social media.
These AMA videos are posted to the Stories feature of the Addictive Brain on Instagram. A good sign is that Chinmaya, or the Addictive Brain, is being approached by lay people who are asking for specific contributions.
Some people who are not scientists have approached us through social media networks and they have asked questions related to some topics and they have asked to introduce topics like Alzheimer's, autism, and someone also asked about mirror neurons. Like, can you explain the concept about mirror neurons? And we had contributors who did this. So right now we have some interaction from public, which is a good sign.
Now, Chinmaya is really interested in involving non-scientists more. And he even plans a whole new SciComm format, again on Instagram, to involve non-scientists directly.
I'm planning to reach out to non-scientists. What do they think about science? What are their expectations that scientists should tell them? This is something that I want to do, but I haven't found time for that yet. I want to send emails, and if that works, then maybe I invite them over a one-on-one discussion on the Instagram live session because the Instagram live session has a function wherein six people can chat together like a video conference.
Chinmaya wants to create an active community where scientists and non-scientists can communicate directly.
I mean, on our website, we want to introduce the members only zone, which would be free, of course, but we can keep track of members like and what they are doing, how they are interacting with our content, and of course, we want to start a forum as well, wherein people can directly talk to those scientists with whom they are interested. Like, for example, I'm just saying that you are working on Alzheimer's disease, but if someone wants to know more about it, they can contact you directly using the forum or maybe through your email or any other means of communication. So it's like a talk to a researcher kind of thing.
So the lay audience gets to learn a lot from the contributions on the Addictive Brain. But what about the contributors?
The live sessions or the AMS sessions are a very good platform for public speaking because you are engaging with the public, and I think that would boost someone's confidence if they have to speak on a podium to 1,000 people. This would give at least an idea of what they can expect as questions when they speak.
I remember when I was doing it, I was a little bit nervous. I think you can see it in the video. And I was not as well prepared as I should have been, I guess. It said like something around 60 people who were listening, which is decent. It's a full lecture room. And that was good. There were, I think, 2 or 3 people asking questions. It's a good skill to have to deal with these kind of things. It was a good experience. And more funding agencies actually ask for outreach, that you can show that you're doing a little bit of outreach. And if you go and do a live thing, or you talk on a podcast or something like that, then it takes you maybe an hour or 1.5 out of the day, and then a little bit of preparation. But then you have a file on the internet that is there for everybody. You can link to it and you can show it around and prove that you are doing outreach.
Instead of sitting in your office and, okay, I did something extraordinary. But if you cannot explain it to someone who is not from your field or who is not aware of science, then it's not worth it. That is what I personally think. And that is what I have been trying to do. My wife is not a scientist. So, whatever I do, a simple experiment, for example, a new experiment which was brain clearing, I tried to explain her. In the first attempt, I failed. She didn't understand anything. In the second attempt, also, I tried like 5, 6 times, and she was bored. Literally, she was bored. Like, okay, do whatever you want to. But on the seventh time, I made a small flow chart of what I am doing, why am I doing this, and what would be the benefit of doing this. And then she was interested. I didn't explain it for like a lecture, like for 1 hour. I just took 5 to 7 minutes of her time, explained her. The I just made 3 points to explain what is this, why am I doing this, and how will it benefit in the future. And I added a fourth point, like uh, how can I incorporate this into my future research. And she was interested in this. Then I tried this with one of my friend who is in science but not in the same field. She is from cancer research. I explained it to her, and she understood most of the terms that I use, but she asked me like, can she do this in her research? And yes, I didn't have a complete answer, but yes, I said you could try. You could try clearing tissues, not from brain, but from other parts of the body. So that was how I started doing this. So right now I take at least once in a month, I try to explain something that I do to someone who doesn't know what am I doing. Or a paper that I have read, like, okay, this is an interesting paper. I make 7 points, explain it to them. So this is a good way to enhance my skills about public communication. And this is what I would encourage others to do as well. This would really help.
And if you, dear listeners, are interested in participating either as a layperson or as an expert scientist, you can
Reach out. The email address is addictivebrain@gmail.com.
Okay, addictivebrain@gmail.com. I'll also put it in the show notes. Now, you might want to know who the people are who contribute to the Addictive Brain already. We heard that by far the most contributions are about biology. Shortly before we met on Skype, Chinmaya had looked at some statistics on the Addictive Brain.
80% of them were females, and only 20% of the contributions came from males. And this is one of our goals, like to encourage women in science, trying to communicate what they are doing. And we were very happy to see that 80% was females, but yeah, 20% are males. So why is that? We still haven't found the answer. Maybe you have an answer for that.
I wasn't very happy with the spontaneous answer I gave while we were recording this episode. So I will take advantage of my ability to add to the episode post-production. If you want to hear my original answer, feel free to join us on Patreon, where you can listen to the extended version of this interview, which includes a couple of talking points that didn't make it into the final cut. First of all, I agree that it is a good thing to highlight that there are women among successful scientists. Women are still underrepresented, especially in the leading roles, principal investigators and professors. And I hear it is particularly important for young women to have role models. On the other hand, my personal experience is that women are in general more numerous in science communication, even though, again, the science communicators the public are particularly aware of are old men, mostly white, maybe even mostly British. I've been to a workshop on academia adjacent careers, which includes science communication, and it was an all female panel. And when it was brought up, one of the organizers pointed out that this might actually be another symptom of women being pushed out of academia more than men. In other words, women are overrepresented in certain academia adjacent jobs, such as science communication, for the same reasons they are underrepresented in academic leadership. Another goal of the Addictive Brain is to represent science from all over the world.
We have covered almost most part of the world except some parts of Africa because we only had contributions from Nigeria and Tanzania until now, but not other parts of Africa. So that is somewhere we want to establish ourselves. We want to reach out to people from there. And similarly, nothing from Russia and yet, which is funny for me because I have seen a lot of Russian scientists, but maybe they are not interested in doing this. And the eastern part of the world, like Japan and Korea, we haven't received anything from them. And one particular area that no one has focused is Greenland, but I haven't seen anyone from Greenland doing science on Instagram yet.
And finally, Chinmaya noticed that especially undergraduate students aren't participating.
Most of them are PhD students or seniors, senior scientists, postdocs. But I have seen that bachelor's and master students are reluctant to contribute or to talk about their science. They think that, okay, we are not at that level to communicate or tell what we are doing because I don't know what they feel. But as I'm speaking, I just want to let everyone know that even you are an undergrad, bachelor's, or a master student, you are doing science, and it's important to tell people what you are doing.
So this all sounds like a lot of work. Do you have other people that work with you on this project?
My wife Pratichi, who is basically doing the editing when people send their contribution. But about for the Instagram page, I alone handle it.
Oh
So
wow.
it's a lot. But yeah, I find like I give 2 hour, 1 to 2 hours daily I spend on this project apart from my postdoc full-time project. I'm trying to reduce my work and I'm trying to engage the public more.
Why would you put so much work into coordinating such a project?
Networking is one of the key aspects why I started science communication. I get to know a lot of people. I get to know a lot of other fields of research. Like I was not aware about physics and chemistry research, but once I started this, I got to know a lot of other people. That was the first benefit. I could talk to companies like about their products.
And this is Chinmaya's final message to you.
I would encourage your listeners to participate in science communication, not only through the Addictive Brain, but there are other platforms like you have a podcast and which is doing really well. Good scientists speaking about different aspects of science, and one of them was the impact factors in journals, which I really liked. So thank you, Dennis, for having me here today. It was a pleasure talking to you and your audience. And if anyone has any questions about the addictive brain, please feel free to reach out to us on any social media platform or our website or the email address.
You will find the summary of this episode and links to the Addictive Brain in the show notes, alongside with a link to the complete conversation that is available to you if you are a supporter on Patreon. And please don't forget that I need your feedback to further improve this podcast. If you have questions, critique, or suggestions, get in contact by email info@scienceforprogress.eu or on social media @SciForProgress for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Please subscribe and rate this podcast on your podcast app, and maybe write a review. I thank you very much for listening. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Goodbye.